In 2006, a team of NASA scientists made a discovery beneath the Antarctic. Ice that quietly rewrote what we thought we knew about the history of this planet. They didn't hold a press conference. They didn't send a breaking news alert. They buried it in a technical report, and most of the world never noticed. Antarctica, the most isolated, most hostile continent on Earth, 98% of it is buried under ice sheets, nearly 3 miles thick. We have better maps of Mars than we do of the land sitting beneath that ice. So, what exactly is down there? What has the ice been hiding for millions of years? And why do some of the things they've found still have no official explanation? Because what's under Antarctica isn't just rock and ancient sediment. It's something far stranger, and scientists are still trying to understand what it means. Here's something they don't put in textbooks. In 1974, British and Soviet researchers flying routine aerial surveys over East Antarctica detected something anomalous on their ice-penetrating radar. Beneath 2.3 miles of solid glacial ice, there was a reflection. A flat, still liquid reflection. They named it Lake Vostok, and over the next 2 decades, as better technology confirmed what they'd found, the scientific world quietly struggled with a single question. How? Lake Vostok is roughly the size of Lake Ontario. It is the largest known subglacial lake on Earth, and it has been completely sealed off from the surface, from sunlight, from the atmosphere, from every ecosystem above it, for an estimated 15 to 25 million years. In February 2012, a team of Russian scientists from the Arctic and Antarctic Research Institute drilled down through the ice after more than 2 decades of preparation. After drilling nearly 2.3 miles straight down, their drill finally broke through to the lake's surface. What they found in their sample cores stopped them cold. There were signs of microbial life, organisms living in complete darkness, under crushing pressure, in water that technically should be frozen solid. The heat keeping this lake liquid comes from geothermal vents in the bedrock below. Antarctica isn't just a block of frozen ice sitting on dead rock. Beneath it, the Earth breathes. Scientists now believe there may be over 400 subglacial lakes scattered across Antarctica. Most have never been touched. Most have never been seen. But what was actually living in that water? That's where the story takes a deeply uncomfortable turn. When Russian scientists analyzed the water samples extracted from Lake Vostok, they sent the data to labs across 3 continents for independent verification. The findings were published in 2013 in the peer-reviewed journal PLOS ONE. And buried inside the technical language was something extraordinary. The samples contained DNA sequences from approximately 3,507 organisms. Bacteria, fungi, archaea, were ancient life forms that had been evolving incomplete, isolation for millions of years, cut off from every surface ecosystem on Earth. But there was one sequence the researchers couldn't identify. Small but detectable. Fragment of DNA that didn't match any known organism in the global biological database. Not a bacteria, not a virus, not an archaea, not anything. Something they cautiously labeled, in the paper itself, as the unclassified. Dr. Scott Rogers at Bowling Green State University, who led the genetic analysis, said the finding was, in his words, difficult to explain. The sequence didn't match any of the 35 million entries in the biological database at the time. Now, scientists are careful people. They don't use the word unknown. They don't use the word alien. They use unclassified. But those words mean the same thing when you're holding a sample from a lake that's been sealed under 2 miles of ice for 25 million years. Something has been living down there in the dark, evolving on its own timeline, completely disconnected from the rest of life on this planet. And we have only just barely scratched the surface of what it might be. But that's not the strangest part. Because around the same time, on the other side of the continent, a completely different team made a completely different discovery, one that had nothing to do with biology. In 2017, a team from the University of Edinburgh published a geological survey that reframed our understanding of what sits beneath the Antarctic ice. Using airborne surveys and seismic data collected over years, they identified 138 volcanoes beneath the West Antarctic ice sheet. 138. That is the highest known concentration of volcanoes anywhere on Earth. Some of these volcanic structures rise nearly 13,000 feet from the bedrock beneath the ice. They are not visible. They are not erupting. But they are warm. And according to the geological record, they are active. The largest, located near the Hudson Mountains subglacial highlands, has already erupted before. Approximately 2,000 years ago, that eruption sent ash clouds punching through the ice sheet itself. Now here is where this gets serious. Climate scientists have spent years tracking the accelerating melt of the West Antarctic ice sheet. The accepted explanation has been atmospheric warming, rising, global temperatures from above, but several researchers now believe there is a second driver that models have dangerously underestimated. Geothermal heat from below, combined with warming from above, could be creating a feedback loop that changes every projection we currently have. This is not theoretical. A 2020 paper published in Nature Geoscience found that geothermal heat flux beneath parts of Antarctica is nearly double what previous models had assumed. What that means for sea levels, for timelines, for the 600 million people living in low elevation coastal zones around the world, those numbers are still being recalculated. Drop a comment right now. Do you think Antarctica was once home to a thriving ecosystem before the ice came? Because the next thing I'm about to show you might actually answer that question. But the volcanoes raise something else, a deeper question. If the ground beneath Antarctica has been geothermally warm for thousands, maybe millions of years, then what else might that warmth have once made possible? We know Antarctica wasn't always a frozen wasteland. 90 million years ago, it sat far closer to the equator. It had rivers, it had wetlands. It had a living, breathing ecosystem as rich as anything alive today. But in November 2017, researchers from the University of Wisconsin made a discovery that pushed that understanding back even further, deep inside the Transantarctic Mountains. At elevations where nothing grows and nothing survives, they found fossilized tree trunks. Not fragments, not impressions in rock, full vertical structures, an entire forest, preserved in stone from 260 million years ago, before the dinosaurs ever walked this earth. These were Glossopteris trees, ancient polar giants that could survive months of complete darkness and grow explosively during summer light. Their root systems, still visible in the rock, were unlike anything in any living forest today. Dr. Eric Gulbrandsen, the lead researcher, describes standing in that valley as geologically disorienting. The same species of tree was simultaneously fossilized in South America, Africa, and India. Physical proof that these were once all one supercontinent, Gondwana, the ancient landmass that Antarctica was once the heart of. But one detail from his team's report rarely gets mentioned in the headlines. Several of the trees showed signs of death within a single growing season. Not gradual decline, not slow environmental change, sudden death. Something happened. A volcanic winter, an impact event, a catastrophic climate shift that killed an entire polar forest in what geologists estimate was a matter of months. 260 million years ago, in Antarctica, we still don't know exactly what. But that's not the strangest part, because in the bedrock beneath, where those trees once stood, radar, surveys have detected something that doesn't fit the geological profile at all. There is a structure beneath the East Antarctic ice sheet that no current geological model fully explains. And NASA has known about it since 2006. That year, data from NASA's GRACE satellite, a gravity mapping mission, revealed a massive gravitational anomaly in the Wilkes land region of East Antarctica. In 2016, NASA's Operation Icebridge, an ongoing aerial survey program using the most advanced ice-penetrating radar on the planet, returned to the region and confirmed what earlier data had suggested. Beneath the ice, at a depth of approximately 1 mile, there is a mass concentration roughly 300 miles across. 300 miles. The mass is significant, enough to visibly distort GPS, satellite measurements in the region. It pulls at the instruments from below. The leading scientific explanation is that it's a massive ancient impact crater, the result of a meteor roughly the size of the one that wiped out the dinosaurs striking Antarctica approximately 250 million years ago during the Permian-Triassic extinction event. The largest mass extinction in the history of life on this planet, the one where 96% of all marine species and 70% of all land species simply ceased to exist. Ohio State University geologist Dr. Ralph von Fries, who first identified the anomaly and published his findings in 2006, suggested the impact could have triggered the Permian extinction itself, the shockwave propagating through the Earth's mantle, triggering the Siberian traps, supervolcano eruptions on the exact opposite side of the planet. That theory is still debated. Some researchers accept the impact hypothesis. Others argue the data doesn't support it. But here's what everyone agrees on. There is something there, something massive, something buried under a mile of solid ice, something we cannot reach, cannot drill to, and cannot yet fully explain. And in the last 5 years, something has changed in the ice directly above it. The ice is thinning, not gradually, rapidly. Satellite data from the European Space Agency's Cryosat-2 mission shows that sections of the East Antarctic ice sheet, the part long considered stable, the part scientists called the safe half, have been losing mass at an accelerating rate since 2014. Researchers at the University of California, Irvine, published findings in 2019 showing that East Antarctica is now losing ice at 3 times the rate it was in the previous decade. 3 times. No single explanation has been universally agreed upon. The volcanoes, the anomaly, the geothermal systems nobody fully mapped, the feedback loops between heat below and warming above, the lakes, the organisms, the things we drilled up that we couldn't identify. What we know for certain is this. There are at least 400 liquid lakes beneath the ice. An unidentified organism living in one of them. 138 active volcanoes in the west. a 300-mile gravitational mass in the east that we cannot account for, ancient forests that died in months 260 million years ago, an ice that is disappearing faster than every model predicted. Every few years, a new scientific paper quietly adjusts the timeline, shifts the projections, adds a decimal point to the sea level estimates. Antarctica is not a frozen museum sitting frozen in time at the bottom of the world. It is an active, dynamic, ancient system. And we have explored less than 1% of what lies beneath the ice. Less than 1%, whatever is still down there. Whatever is sealed in those lakes, buried under that rock, preserved in that bedrock. We haven't found it yet. And the ice that's been protecting those secrets for millions of years, it's melting. If you've made it this far, and you want to see what else history has buried, and science has quietly left unanswered, you already know where to find the next one. The world has more secrets than it has answers. And some of those secrets are buried under 2 miles of ice, in complete darkness, still waiting.